Hey guys, happy Sunday, happy Palm Sunday, and be sure to check out my community link because I'm going to put in there some guidelines on how to get your plenary indulgence on Divine Mercy Sunday because you kind of want to start thinking about that now. So exciting. Happy Holy Week. Today we're going to talk about marriage because I think that this is probably the topic out of all of them that there's the most need, and I certainly have the most like desire to share with you out of all four topics. So I'm going to spend more time on marriage than the other topics, but I'm still going to touch the other topics as well. And so today's video is called Get Off His Paper. So I want to explain to you what is the idea behind paper and why we want to get off his paper and onto our own paper. So this has to do with control and relinquishing control, which is a really, really big part of this idea behind like the 6 intimacy skills in Laura Doyle's book, The Empowered Wife. And this has been one of the biggest things in my marriage that I've changed that has led to so much more like self-care and just more balance for me personally. And also obviously it's blessed my husband because I've got off his paper. Okay, so what is this idea about paper? So when you're in school, at least for those of us who went to public school, right? Or even anytime you took a test, you have to keep your eyes on your own paper. You're not allowed to like look over at what Susie's doing or Joey or anybody. Eyes on your own paper. And so as we go through life, especially in our marriage, we want to stay on our own paper. And that requires us to get really clear about what our duties and responsibilities are. So for me, my responsibilities are 1, my relationship with God, 2, my relationship with myself and making myself happy. That's on my paper, to make myself happy. And you can watch the other video I've made regarding that. It's my job to homeschool the kids. It's my job to buy the groceries and to make the meals. And it's my job to keep the house clean, like physically clean, as well as to tidy up my stuff, right? I'm responsible for my stuff. I'm responsible for decluttering my stuff, not my husband's stuff. I'm responsible for clothing myself. And and to a lesser extent, the kids. Things that are not on my paper would be anything that has to do with the car, anything that I've given him all the finances, so anything financial. I don't even know how much is in the bank account. Anything I've handed him. So if I say like, let's say I can't take the animals to the vet anymore. That was I can't. Then that's on his paper. I don't look at it anymore. If I've given him the finances, I don't look at the finances anymore. The yard care, the kids, like gifts or vacations or anything that he wants to do with the kids. It's not my paper. I'm not going to comment. And definitely his parenting is not my paper. And so when we get really clear, and you guys can comment down below and ask me like, well, whose paper is this on or that on? And we can talk about how to discover that. But once you get really clear on what's on your paper, then you have to take your eyes off your husband and bring them back to yourself. So you're not watching how long he's on his phone. You're not watching how much money he spends at the grocery store or going out to eat lunch if you're not handling the money anymore. You're not looking at what his prayer life is like. You're not looking at his spiritual life, right? And so instead you're saying, okay, Ryan's doing Ryan. Laura needs to do Laura. So I need to back over here. And so I was actually talking to Ryan recently about how critical I was. Even if I didn't come out and say it all the time, I was always watching him. Always watching him. He's been on his phone for 2 hours. That's his 5th cigarette in 5 hours. Like, what's he doing? Like, that's going to kill him. And just like, I don't know. What he's having a monster? Like just his paper, his health is on his paper. Whether he goes to the doctor appointment or not is his paper. Whether he goes to the dentist or not is his paper. I am not his mother, right? Laura Doyle will say, don't be his mother, be his lover. And I know that can feel kind of secular sounding, but it's true. Like women, like ladies, we're still his girlfriend, right? We're still his lover. And so the more we stop paying attention to what he's doing and judging him and being critical. And I'm going to talk later about like the reason cycle and how we can kind of shift our thoughts. But the more we can just get really clear about like what's on our paper, then we can start to see how often we're looking over there and bring it back to us. Because when you get clear about what is on your paper, you have your marching orders, right? If housekeeping is on your paper, then come up with some kind of simple plan. You can delegate things that are on your paper to your kids, right? But not to your husband, unless it's an I can't, which we'll talk about in another video. And so, of course, I'm going to recommend you read the book, The 6 Intimacy Empowered Wife, which talks about the 6 intimacy skills and teaches you in more detail how to do this. And if you need coaching or just want to hear from a Catholic woman's perspective on the skills, I would definitely go over to Coach Carol's YouTube, and I'll link her down below. She's my personal coach. She's really, really reasonably affordable, and you can actually have a free assessment call with her if your marriage is in a place of struggle. But I would suggest you read the book, like Laura Doyle's book first, because it helps you kind of get a sense of what's your responsibility before you enter into any kind of coaching, just because there's a lot you can learn just from the book. And but this has been the biggest thing for me, is to realize what is on my paper, and how am I now what am I doing to move the needle in these different areas? Because it's not his responsibility. These things are my responsibility. What's not my responsibility is his life, because Ryan's going to do Ryan. And so if you just repeat after me and put your husband's name in, Ryan's doing Ryan. You say it now with your husband, I don't even know what Timothy's doing Timothy. James is doing James. And you can even use it with your kids, especially if your child is 7 or above, their sin is on their paper. Their actions are on their paper. We guide them, but we can't keep our children from falling. They have to go to a confession. Chloe is doing Chloe and Neil is doing Neil. And I think that's really helpful verbiage. So this has been a little longer, but I could go on and on and on about the skills of marriage. And Ryan and I have been having some really great conversations. In the future, we're going to be talking a little bit about things like safety in marriage, respect, gratitude. Gosh, there's just so much. Vulnerability. Respect. Talking about what drew you to your husband in the first place, how to be his girlfriend, and to really find that light and joy that attracted him to you in the first place, right? You can become the same person that you were when you were dating and he was courting you. And when you get there, it feels really good and authentic. And so sometimes we lose that in motherhood, especially. And you don't have to wait till your kids are older to find her again. You just take some tweaking. And the biggest tweak is to let your husband be your husband and stop judging him. Okay? Because all it leads is resentment and bitter feelings. And we're not going to change our husbands. That's God's job. God's job is to make him into a saint. Your job is to model God's love and to model your own spiritual walk with God, because you're still going to tend his garden. I'll put a link down to a really beautiful Catholic podcast by Aurora, where she talks about tending the garden of your husband's soul. It's very beautiful. And but we don't do that in this controlling way. We do this in this very authentic, beautiful, feminine way. So with that, you guys, I hope you have a very blessed Sunday. And I don't plan on putting out videos every single day for the rest of my life, but I'm trying to kind of get some content here so people who are new can kind of see where this channel is going in case they want to subscribe. And please share if any of these things add value to your life. Please share. I'm not doing ads. I'm not doing any kind of monetary stuff right now, but I'm never going to do ads on this channel, no matter what. So sharing would be really, really helpful. Okay. Bye, guys.